At Granger, we're for the ones who pay attention to every little detail. The ones who fuss, tinker, and sweat the small stuff. Because you know the tiniest thing can make the biggest difference when it comes to keeping business moving. We get it. We're the same way. Offering access to product experts to help you quickly and easily find what you need. So whatever your industry, you know you're always getting professional-grade products. Call, click Granger.com, or just stop by. Granger, for the ones who get it done.
You are listening to the Hiking Radio Network, where we talk the walk with shows by hikers, about hikers, for everybody.
I'm wondering if you'd go wandering with me through the wilderness and woods to where the winds are blowing free, through the darkness of the night, heading toward the morning.
Welcome to the Jester Section Hiker Podcast, with the spotlight on section hikers.
And I'll spread the word, and you beat the drum. We'll round up the troops and get the gang to come. And we'll leave the streets and these neighborhoods, head over the river and through the woods.
I am excited to announce that the podcast episodes that are specific to the Mountains to Sea Trail are now being sponsored by the MST Guide by Pocket Trails. The MST Guide is the most comprehensive app for maps and navigation developed for the Mountains to Sea Trail, providing unprecedented information and ease of access for day hikers, section hikers, and through hikers. Never get lost again. Updated maps with trail route changes and everything you need from parking areas, camping locations, water sources, and more. Available now for download through Google Play and coming soon for the iPhone. Check it out and download today. The MST Guide by Pocket Trails. Follow the lines in the palm of your hand. All right, you guys, welcome to the podcast. You are listening to Jester Section Hiker, the premier podcast with the spotlight on section hikers. And I'm your host, Julie Jester Gayhart. And welcome to the final episode of me out completing the 40-day hikes on the Mountains to Sea Trail, which you can find from the book Great Day Hikes on North Carolina's Mountains to Sea Trail. The final episode this week, which will include hikes number 37, 38, 39, and 40. And right now, I am sitting at the Cape Hatteras Outer Banks KOA. But let me go ahead and back up. I've got some corrections already that I need to make from last week's episode. I was just so excited to have made it to hike number 36. And I was walking on that road and I was just pumped up that I had completed all 5 of those hikes in one day. And you guys, if you have not heard that episode, please go back and listen to last week's episode. We ended off last week on hike number 36. And in all of my excitement, for some reason, I said I was going to the town of Davison and I was going to be ending at the fire department. And that was nothing that was happening. I was actually going to walk by a fire department, but I ended in the town of Davis at the Davis Shore Provisions General Store. So wanted to make that correction from last week's episode. I was just so excited. And right after I got done with that hike, I headed on over to Cedar Island and stayed at the Island's Choice Campground, located directly on Cedar Island, about 5 minutes from where you will catch the ferry to make your way towards where I am right now. And I ate at the Bay Breeze Restaurant and Bar. And guess what? I did not get a grilled chicken sandwich. I got a fish sandwich. So I figured since I was on Cedar Island that I better eat some fish. And I wanted to let you guys know for this final episode, it is very logistics oriented. So by the time you get done with hike number 36 and you drive to Cedar Island, which is where hike number 37 is, You want to kind of be a little bit logistical about that. Make sure you read in the book. And because when you are done with hike number 37, which I am going to get to here real quick because that was a doozy this morning, you want to take a look at the ferry schedule, because once again, when you get to Cedar Island, you are going to have to take a ferry after you complete hike number 37. It is a 2-hour ferry, and the fee this morning was $15 to Ocracoke Island. So again, you're going to take the Cedar Island ferry, which is about 2 hours, to Ocracoke Island. And the ferry schedule varies depending on season, time of year, and all that good stuff. And I think today the schedule was running. There were 2 in the morning, and then there was 1 at 4:30 this afternoon. And I will circle back to which one I got on and how I ended up getting to Ocracoke and now sitting on Cape Hatteras getting ready for hike number 38 in the morning. So let's get right to it, you guys. Hike number 37 is titled Cedar Island National Wildlife Refuge at Cedar Island Bridge to Cedar Island Volunteer Fire Department. And I must have got those hikes mixed up because I knew somewhere I was going to be hiking to a fire department. And you guys will notice I am not recording from that hike, and I will get to that as well, why I'm not recording from that hike. The distance for that hike, number 37, is 5.9 miles one way. The degree of difficulty is it is all on paved road, and it says it is a moderate hike, and I'll get into that as well. The elevation gain is 10 feet. The loss is 10 feet, but that elevation gain and loss does not include climbing over the bridge onto Cedar Island. The highlights of that hike are Cedar Island National Wildlife Refuge, marsh and estuary views, and wildlife. And here is more of the description from the book. This hike is almost entirely on a causeway built to carry North Carolina 12 through the salt marshes that make up most of the 14,500 acres of the Cedar Island National Wildlife Refuge. Although the hike is on a roadway, traffic is rarely a problem. Almost the only people on the road are visiting the refuge or heading to the ferry from Cedar Island to Ocracoke on the Outer Banks. The refuge is a remote, almost desolate area. All you can see for miles is grass, water, a few distant trees, and if the time and conditions are right, a vast flock of birds. The stunning marsh vistas and wildlife viewing opportunities on this hike more than make up for any isolation. Over 250 species of birds, 91 amphibians and reptiles, and 35 of the mammals are known to live in the refuge, including breeding pairs of black rails, a bird species of special concern, especially in the winter. Vast flocks of pelicans, ducks, and other waterfowl are common sights. Secretive birds like clappertails and marsh wrens are more often heard than seen, but are always present. So you guys, that is the description of the hike, and I will go ahead and tell you, all the way from hike number 1 through hike number 36, I have had phenomenal weather until this morning. So last night when we got to Cedar Island, I started looking at the weather and I was like, oh boy, the rain's coming tonight, and it is probably going to be raining in the morning and the majority of the day. And then when I woke up this morning, I saw a weather window between 6 a.m. and 10 that it was like 25% rain. It looked cloudy, but the winds were going to be really high. And I said, you know what? I'm going for it. So drove back to the bridge from the campground that I was at this morning, got dropped off. And I mean, I'm not kidding. As soon as I got dropped off and I started making my way up toward the middle of got on the bridge and started making my way up toward the middle of the bridge, it started it felt like sleeting, but I think it was the wind blowing the rain. It was coming from both sides. It was coming to the left. It was coming to the right. And I got up and over the bridge and the wind started dying down slightly, but it rained the whole way. So I was on that road for 5.9 miles with the wind gusts 18 to 20 miles an hour at any given time. I was bundled up from head to toe. I had rain gear on. I had a reflective vest on because I wanted to wear that because I knew I was going to be on the road. And I just had my head down and I went for it. And I made it. And I didn't have a lot of time to look around at the scenery. I was just focused on that line in the road and getting to that fire department as fast as I could. And I gotta tell you guys, I was cracking up inside because I was like, you guys, I have had sun. I have had the best weather that you could think of. And then I knew it was too good to be true. So I basically, put my head down. There was no recording. There was no anything but getting me to that fire department on Cedar Island and ending that hike. And I screamed and yelled and hooped and hollered. And I actually got done in time. I didn't think I was going to catch the 10:30 ferry. So right after that hike, it was like to the car, fill up with gas, grab some coffee, and went straight to the ferry. And then it was 2 hours on the ferry. And then when I got to Ocracoke, it was, I believe it was 12 or 15 miles you drive to get to the next ferry. And then that ferry brings you to where I am sitting now on Cape Hatteras at the Cape Hatteras KOA campground. And I'm about 20 minutes away from hike number 38, but that's okay because it sets me up for hike number 38 in the morning. And then the following morning, I am going to do hike number 39 and 40 and hopefully be done with these day hikes. And you guys, even though I got dumped on and rained on this morning, it was awesome. It was great. Lesson learned. I knew I probably wasn't going to have sunshine for all these 40 hikes. Hey, and I look at it like, hey, that's a training hike. You're going to get soaking wet. You're testing your gear and all that good stuff. So I am going to leave it with that. I am headed to hike number 38 and the lighthouse in the morning, and I will get back and chat with you guys if I can, if it's not raining, as soon as I get on hike number 38. All right, you guys, I am back. I am currently on hike number 38. And as you will hear, sorry about that, I had to unzip my jacket here so you guys could hear me on the mic. This one is a soggy mess. So let's go ahead and get right to it. This is hike number 38, Cape Hatteras, Hatteras Lighthouse to Frisco Campground. The distance is 5.7 miles one way. The degree of difficulty is moderate to strenuous. The trail type is pretty much all trail, and there's a little bit of paved road walking right at the beginning, and the elevation gain is 154 feet. The loss is 151 feet. The highlights are Maritime Forest, Experience of the Wilderness, tallest brick lighthouse in the U.S. And I'm going to stop here and read you what the book says. It says, this hike traverses the only significant patch of maritime forest on the Mountains to Sea Trail. The Buxton Woods area comprises of 3,000 acres of maritime forest at the southern tip of Hatteras Island that has been spared from development. About 1,000 acres is Buxton Woods Coastal Reserve, owned and managed by the state of North Carolina. Another 1,000 acres, which includes the area through which this hike passes, is part of the Cape Hatteras National Seashore. The gnarled live oaks, loblolly pines, dwarf palmettos, and shrubby dunes of the Buxton Woods area create an environment completely unlike the beaches seen by most visitors to the Outer Banks. In contrast to the pristine forest of the Buxton Woods, the eastern end of the hike is at the Cape Hatteras Lighthouse, at 210 feet, the tallest brick lighthouse in North America and the most recognized symbol of the Outer Banks. In 1999, Beach erosion forced a relocation of the lighthouse. Over 23 days, the lighthouse was slowly moved from 2,900 feet west. It was slowly moved 2,900 feet west from its original site. The relocation path is still visible and is the continuation of the MST route eastward from this hike. The lighthouse is open for climbing in the summer. So, all right, you guys, I am on the path right now, and you can probably hear it is a soggy mess, but that is okay. So you guys heard my start of this podcast yesterday. Spent the night last night at the Cape Hatteras KOA campground. And when I tell you it poured all night, it poured all night. I was so glad I was in my van and not in my tent. It would have been a flooded mess. But periodically when I would wake up in the middle of the night, I was like, oh my God, that trail is going to be a flooded mess. But so far, you guys, I mean, it's wet, but it's not bad. So driving to the beginning of this hike, there is something that I do want to say. Go and check out the mst.org website because there is a correction for hike number 38. The trailheads in the book, you need to actually reverse those. So trailhead 2 is 1 and 1 is 2 because you do start this hike at the lighthouse, which was absolutely gorgeous this morning. The first time I have ever seen a real lighthouse with the light going and all that stuff. And when you pull up to the parking area there, it is a really big parking area and they have restrooms that were open. And I got there, I mean, it was like 7 in the morning, and the lighthouse is not open until summer. So I'm going to miss out on going up in the lighthouse, but that'll just mean I have to come back. So the restrooms were open, and the hike starts off right there in the parking area. You kind of do I think it's about a half mile or 0.6 road walk, and then you take a right into the forest, and it's actually amazing. You're out of the wind, you're not on the road, and so far, you guys, I am almost 2 miles into this hike. It is very wide path. You are surrounded by gorgeous trees, pines, I think cypress, and the vegetation on your right. I'm walking down the middle of the path. I'm literally pointing like you guys are in front of me. The vegetation on the right and the left-hand side, I don't know how to describe it, but it's very beachy and my footing is good. So far, so good. Like I said, it's wet. My feet are wet, but I knew that was going to happen because all the rain we had last night, and I'm just happy that I have a window this morning before it's supposed to start pouring. And I just looked, and originally it was supposed to start raining at 8 o'clock, but now it's not supposed to start again until 11 a.m. So yay! I hope I get through this hike without it pouring down the rain on me. But if it does, I mean, what are you going to do? You deal with it and keep it moving. So this hike is, and again, I'm going back to that theme I had last week. Very peaceful, very gorgeous. There is one more thing that it says in the book, and I don't guess I'm going to have to deal with that because the time of year it is and the temperatures. When I started this morning, it was right at like 38 degrees. In the book, it says this is a mosquito hike, and they're out all the time. And I guess you exchange one thing for another. So I'm not having the mosquitoes, but I've got damp feet and wet trail, but that's okay because I don't know which one's worse. Right now, I'll take the wet feet instead of the mosquitoes coming at me, but not going to let that deter me. So make sure before you do hike number 38, you take a look at the corrections on the Mountains of Sea Trail.org website. Take a look at the weather and plan accordingly. All right, okay, I got a big I don't know, mosh pit in front of me here. Ooh, kind of reminds me, okay, you guys can hear that, of hiking in Vermont on the Appalachian Trail. So when you first get to Vermont, it is really, really muddy. And depending on the rains and all that kind of stuff. And you kind of spend the first part of your day in Vermont, you know, looking for ways to go around the mud, not step in it. And then about halfway through the day, you're like, you know what? Oh, well, then you just start tromping through the mud. So that is my attitude with the water on the trail. I know at the end of this, I'm going to get some dry socks and dry clothes. And so I'm just rolling through the water and I guess saying, oh, well. So anyway, all right, you guys, when I get done with this, 2 more hikes to go. And my homework for this evening is I am going to be looking at the tide tables to make sure I am on hike number 39 when it is low tide. So I will be checking on that and giving you guys, here I go again, tromping through. Some mosh here, mush. Anyway, I'll be looking at the tide tables this evening, spending some time on Cape Hatteras, and I think some of the restaurants are going to be opening because it is a Friday. Hopefully get some good seafood, and I'll be back to chat with you guys tomorrow on hike number 39. Woohoo! Counting them down. All right, you guys, I am back, and I am hoping that this audio turns out. Because if you'd have told me a year ago I would be hiking in the Outer Banks of North Carolina on the Mountains of Sea Trail on the beach at the end of February, I would have told you you were nuts. But ladies and gentlemen, I am here, hike number 39. The ocean is literally about 10 feet beside me. On the other side of me, on my left-hand side, are big sand dunes. And then right over the dunes is North Carolina 12. So for this commentary for hike number 39, you get to hear the ocean and the wind. And I think I've lost my mind. But anyway, okay, hike number 39, Outer Banks Wildlife and Beaches, Pea Island National Wildlife Refuge, goes from the headquarters to the Mark Bass Night Bridge. The total distance for this hike is 5.4 miles one way. The degree of difficulty is easy to moderate. It is definitely the surface type. I am on the beach, and at the beginning of the hike at the Pea Island National Refuge, you're on a boardwalk, and then you're on like a service gravel road. So that was not bad at all. The highlights, I gotta stop here, are the wildlife at Pea Island National Wildlife Refuge, you guys, and that is a special place. Beach walking, what I'm doing, and historic Oregon Inlet Life-Saving Station, and that is where I am headed right now. And here is your description from the book, with the only turn beach walking in this book. This hike combines two of the best known aspects of the Outer Banks, the ocean and wildlife. The hike begins at the Pea Island National Wildlife Refuge Visitor Center, which has restrooms, exhibits, and shops. Stop inside to find out about the recent wildlife sightings. It is generally open from 9 a.m. to 4. And you guys, I missed that store being open because you'll hear in a second I did my homework and looked at the tide tables. But that store is open from 9 to 4 daily. But it is staffed by volunteers, so hours are subject to availability. Not part of this hike, but off the beach directly across from the visitor center, is a shipwreck visible at low tide called the Oriental, a steamship used as a federal transport ship during the Civil War, sank just offshore in May of 1862. And I looked all over for that this morning and I couldn't find it. So hopefully when you guys come out here, you will be able to see that. You guys, the wind is insane. And I am insane for probably doing this in February, but that's just the way I roll. And you guys, the first 2.5 miles of this hike, you are walking around the Pea Island Wildlife Refuge. And when I say birds, 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 there were all kind of waterfowl. And when you get on the little service road after the observation deck, you could tell where I was scaring them, and they would take off in their line formation across Pea Island. So awesome. I hope you guys get a chance to come out here and do these day hikes. Hike number 39 is really special. And as you guys can hear, I'm walking on the beach. And last night, did my homework and found out that low tide was at 8:55 this morning, and it is 9:04. So I wanted to time that pretty perfectly so I could get as much sand to walk on as possible. And I feel like I'm on a stair climb, the never-ending stair climber, because every step on the beach, you just kind of sink and then you lift your feet up. But you guys, it is so awesome. The sunrise this morning was amazing. The couple days of rain I had earlier are gone. It is bright sunny, but it's windy, but I'll take it. And I will get some good video here because I am starting to see the bridge, but I think the Mountains of Sea Trail actually goes over the bridge, but I'll be in the car for that part. Headed to hike number 40, Jockey's Ridge State Park, and finishing these 40-day hikes. You guys, unbelievable. And I will be back to chat with you guys here shortly. Woohoo! From Jockey's Ridge State Park. All right, you guys, I am back, and you guessed it, I am at the tallest sand dune you can find at Jockey's Ridge State Park. Hike number 40 from the book Great Day Hikes on North Carolina's Mountains to Sea Trail, and the end of the 40-day hikes for me. But let's get right to it. Hike number 40, Jockey's Ridge State Park. The distance, 0.5 mile one way. Degree of difficulty is easy. It's pretty easy. All you do is climb up and down maybe a couple sand dunes until you get to the highest point, and it is absolutely awesome. The trail type is all sand. The elevation gain is 82 feet. The loss is 12 feet. The highlights is the highest and largest dunes on the west coast, eastern terminus of the Mountains of Sea Trail, views of the ocean and sound. And I'll tell you what, guys, there is no doubt whatsoever, when you get to this highest dune, you can actually see out to the ocean and the sound. It is absolutely awesome. And the book says, like hike number 1, the Great Smokies, Clingman's Dome to Fork Ridge Trail, this hike has special significance to the friends of the Mountains of Sea Trail because it includes the eastern terminus of the trail. The hike is special in its own right, however, although short, it provides an experience quite different from anything else on the MST as it ascends the tallest and largest active dune complex in the eastern United States, up to 60 feet tall. You guys, this dune is amazing. The last time I was on any sand dunes is when I was a kid, and I was on vacation with my parents in Michigan. But you guys, it is so cool to be at Jockey's Ridge State Park, the eastern terminus of the Mountains to Sea Trail. And 5 months ago, September 26th, 2020, I was on top of Clingman's Dome. And today is Saturday, February 20th, 2021. I am on top of the highest sand dune at Jockey's Ridge State Park at the eastern terminus of the Mountains to Sea Trail. And the book also says the top of the dunes commands views for over the Atlantic Ocean and the Albemarle Sound, as well as up and down the Outer Banks. Not far from here is Kill Devil Hills, where Wilbur and Orville Wright made their first powered flights. Unsurprisingly, hikers at Jockey's Ridge often encounter hang gliders launching from the dunes. Kite flying and sandboarding are also popular activities, and that will close out the final reading from the book. And you guys, there are a couple hang gliders off in the distance. I'm not sure I'm going to get a chance to see them take off. They look like they're actually in a training class. But quite honestly, you guys, I am completely pumped. I'm trying not to scream here because there are some other people here, but it is absolutely awesome to have accomplished these 40-day hikes, to have set out to. There is no way I would have thought I would have been done by now. When I set out in September, it was a project for the podcast. I wanted to get on the Mountains to Sea Trail, and so much has happened from episode 1 until now with episode number 40. Cannot thank the Friends of the Mountains to Sea Trail organization enough. I cannot thank all of you that have started listening to the podcast because you saw some podcast information on the mountainstoseatrail.org website. And you guys, I am going to come back and summarize all of this for you once I have all my thoughts together. And I'm just going to soak in the sand dune right now that I am on top of, take in the moment. And all this has done is fueled me to get out and start filling in these gaps and really start section hiking the Mountains to Sea Trail and have this trail, just, you know, having completely hiked this trail, I think would be awesome. And just to have a moment here. And you guys, I will be back. You can mark your words on that, and we will chat real soon. All right, you guys, I am back to close out the episode and this series of completing all 40-day hikes from the book, Great Day Hikes on North Carolina's Mountains to Sea Trail. The best way for me to close out is to go back and remind everyone how this idea to complete the 40-day hikes got started. It was from the August 12th, 2020 newsletter from the Friends of the Mountains to Sea Trail organization and a message from Kate Dixon, the executive director, that was titled, A Trail Built for Times Like These. It was this paragraph that led me to call Kate to ask her to be on the podcast, and then what led me to buy the 40-day hike book. Here's what Kate said. Although I am as socially distanced as everyone else, I hear daily from many people who are using the trail and eager to learn more. In the last 3 months, our email list has grown by more than 1,800 people. Since March, we've sold almost 500 copies of the new Day Hike Guide. And today, we have 116 more members than we did in February. This trail really matters. And I thank all of you for the love and support you show it. And as you've heard, you guys, over the last 5 months, the rest unfolded from there. Thank you so much to Kate Dixon, Jim Grody, Ben Jones, and Betsy Brown for sharing and advocating for this idea of mine to hike all 40-day hikes and put it out there on the podcast. A huge thanks to all of you that have listened to each of these day hike episodes. I really appreciate it. Thanks to all of those that came out and met me to hike, met me to interview, And even a couple of you I met on the trails, and you let me interview you right away. And last but not least, thanks to the MST Guide by Pocket Trails for sponsoring these episodes. I leave you with a more recent quote from Kate Dixon. Take joy in the open trail. I know I will. Thanks for listening, everybody, and happy section hiking.
I'm wondering if you'd go wandering with me through the wilderness and woods to where the winds are blowing free, through the darkness of the night, heading toward the morning light. I wonder if you'd wander with me, and I'll spread the word and you beat the drum. We'll round up the troops and get the gang to come, and we'll leave the streets and these neighborhoods, head over the river and through the woods. You're wondering if I go wandering with you, what kind of trouble we'll get ourselves into. Would it be wrong to tag along with a band of vagabonds? You wonder if I'd wander with you. So I'll spread the word and you beat the drum. We'll round up the troops and get the gang to come, and we'll leave the streets and these neighborhoods, head over the river. I'm wondering if you'd come wandering my way, if you ever get lost or if the trail leads you astray. The music of the pack can always bring you back. I wonder, can we wander away? And I'll spread the word and you beat the drum. We'll round up the troops and get the gang to come, and we'll leave the streets and these neighborhoods, head over the river and through the woods.
At Grainger, we're for the ones who pay attention to every little detail, the ones who fuss, tinker, and sweat the small stuff. Because you know the tiniest thing can make the biggest difference when it comes to keeping business moving. We get it. We're the same way, offering access to product experts to help you quickly and easily find what you need. So whatever your industry, you know you're always getting professional-grade products. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.